Mr. Burnett,
Yes.
so are some of us going to be like presenting today?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep. We're gonna get as many as we can in. I'm just trying to give everyone maybe about another minute to join. Then we're gonna get going right away. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Last regular day school year of this semester. Um, we are kind of switching gears here, finishing up our current events, and um, we've got a few more people I think that are going to come in. So I'm just going to give them about, like I said, about 30 seconds, and then we'll get started. There they are. All right, Francisco Cruz, are you on here? He is not. So we'll move on. Number 2. Kennedy Hamilton, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. Did you share it with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, in my email.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So, Kennedy, we've got one person in the waiting room coming here. But we're going to go ahead and change the screen share here. And all right, remember those of you in the audience, make sure you please pay attention, and then you're gonna need to respond with some type of question or to an answer with more than one word. Make sure you answer the why, and then we're gonna keep moving and try to get as many in as we can. Okay. All right. So, Kennedy, do you see what's on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just present, and you've got the floor. Go ahead.
Humans are increasingly influencing the climate and the Earth's temperature by burning fossil fuels, cutting down rainforests, and farming livestock. This adds large amounts of greenhouse gases to those that are naturally occurring in the atmosphere, also increasing the greenhouse effect and global warming. The last ice age was around 11,700 years ago. That was the beginning of the modern climate era and human civilization. The potential future effects of global climate change include more frequent wildfires, longer periods of drought in some regions, and increasing the number, duration, and intensity of tropical storms. Also, heat waves will happen more often, affecting hundreds of millions or possibly even billions if we don't act on it soon. There is no doubt that if we continue the things that we do, that climate change will stay the same or perhaps even get worse. Climate affects nearly every aspect of our lives, from our food sources to our transport infrastructure, from what clothes we wear to where we go on a holiday. It has a huge effect on our livelihoods, our health, and our future. Climate is a long-term pattern of weather conditions in a particular place. The video down below will give more reasons about why climate change is important and how it affects us.
To get to this video, Kennedy, I think I need to.
You should like copy and paste it.
Yeah, got to go back a slide here. Shoot. Exit presentation.
Had the most amazing family vacation. This is so exciting!
We hear it so much that it feels like a buzzword, but it is far from it. Climate change is a real and serious issue. But isn't the climate always changing? What exactly is climate change? Why should we care? Well, the Earth's climate has changed throughout history. Most of these slight changes are caused by small variations in the Earth's orbit. But climate change as we know it today is characterized by an abrupt increase in the Earth's temperature. It is estimated to have gotten 1.2 to 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit warmer in just the last century. 10 out of the last 13 years were the warmest on record. 97% of climate scientists agree that this new tendency is not caused by the variations of the Earth's orbit, but rather very likely caused by human activities. That means you and me. And since the Industrial Revolution, we have come a long way. Humans built airplanes, faster cars, developed remarkable technology, and learned how the natural resources around us can be used for our heat they trap, the warmer our planet gets. And as our planet gets warmer, we begin to feel the effects. One of climate change's biggest victims is our oceans. Oceans regulate the Earth's temperature and provide 50% of the Earth's oxygen. But climate change has increased the global temperature of the oceans by more than 0.3 degrees Fahrenheit since 1969. Although a warmer ocean might seem inviting to a beachgoer, it actually has devastating consequences for supporting life at sea. One of those consequences is ocean acidification, a direct effect of increased dissolved CO2. Since the late 18th century, ocean surface acidification has increased by 30%. A higher acid content means calcifying species, like oysters and clams and shallow water corals, are at risk, putting the entire ocean food web at risk. This is bad news for the 1 billion people relying on the ocean as its primary source of protein. Climate change has also caused the sea level to rise. Just in the last century, sea levels have risen 6.7 inches, but the rate in the last decade has nearly doubled. Sea levels have risen because as the ocean gets warmer, it swells. On top of that, glaciers and ice sheets are melting. Antarctica lost 36 cubic miles of ice between 2002 and 2005, and since 1994, each year on average, the Earth has lost 400 billion tons from its glaciers. That's like an ice cube 7.5 kilometers on a side, 4 miles on a side, melting and flowing into the sea. When all that ice melts, it fills up our oceans, and just like filling up a bathtub, the shores can't hold all that water, and coastal regions get flooded. Troubling signs of climate change are increased extreme weather events. Natural disasters like floods, tornadoes, and deadly heat waves are more obvious to humans because of their immediate impact and their sharing of the images in the media. Climate change, as we know it today, is change in our Earth's overall temperature with massive and permanent ramifications. Although its consequences can be planet-threatening, scientists still believe there are things we can do on a personal level to help. Recycle and reuse things. Walk or use public transportation to get to work. Turn off your electronics when you're not using them. Eat less meat. While you're at it, eat more locally grown vegetables and foods. And last but not least, spread your knowledge and concerns about climate change with others. When it comes to climate change, the main takeaway is that it's real. And although we are part of the cause, we can also be part of the solution.
All right, Kennedy, go ahead and walk us through your discussion questions real quickly, please.
If you could change climate change for the better, what would be the first step you take? What do you think life with climate change in 5+ years will be like? Do you think climate change will get better or worse? If so, how?
All right, awesome. Thanks a lot, Kennedy. Virtual round of applause to you. That video is really interesting too. Thank you. All right, so Francisco, I see you on here. Are you? Did you share your presentation with me?
No,
You have it done?
no, I haven't done it yet.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and answer one of these questions. Maritza, are you? Let's see if Maritza's here. Are you here, Maritza?
Yeah, I am.
Did you share it with me?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna be up next. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody put in the chat function, please, if you want credit for today. One of the questions, I'm gonna have to stop the share to go out and find this. All right, I'm seeing 2 people that have responded so far. Let's we need a little more participation here quickly. Like I said, everyone's good needs to be on their game here today in order for us to get these in. All right, gonna wait about 60 more seconds and then we need to resume. All right. Oh, everyone got a chance there. Maritza, I'm gonna go ahead and share your presentation. Is this what we're looking at? Is this you?
Yeah, that's mine.
All right. The floor is yours.
Police Brutality by Maritza Arellano, me. What is police brutality? The unwanted or excessive and often illegal use of force against civilians by U.S. police officers. Forms of police brutality have ranged from assault and battery to mayhem, torture, and murder. Some broader definitions of police brutality also encompass harassment, including false arrest, intimidation, and verbal abuse, among other forms of mistreatment.
Sure, go ahead.
Police brutality summary. Police brutality happens all over the world and is the excessive force of the police. American police have killed 897 people in 2020, with Black people being 28% as of November 9th. And it is thought that police in America originated from police patrols in the early 1700s. This means there could be an issue of systematic racism, which is basically laws and rules in our society that are embedded in racism. And this video will talk about the racist origins of how the U.S. police force has originated from, and this includes graphic images or videos, so just keep that in mind.
So violent images.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is unsettling to anybody, please feel free to exit or stop the video on your own terms, okay? Hey, Maritza, we
Yeah.
can't watch all 7 minutes. Can you pick a 4-minute clip that you think is best, or just 1 through 4?
Yeah, that just the 4 minutes is fine.
Okay.
The uprisings against police brutality across U.S. cities came after police officers killed 46-year-old George Floyd. But the anger you see is also in response to a history of police violence, a history that has left Black people more scared about being a victim of police violence than being a victim of violent crime. Now, there are growing calls to defund or even abolish the police.
The relationship between African Americans and the police is a very tense one. To understand American policing today is really to tell a story that comes out of slavery in the United States.
Let's take a look at that history. from slave patrols to enabling lynchings, crushing protests, and shooting to kill.
My mental health suffers tremendously when my children are out and about.
There are stats to back up this fear. Black Americans are 2.5 times more likely than white Americans to die at the hands of police. Police use of force is the 6th leading cause of death for young Black men. Minneapolis police used 7 times more force against Black people than white people over the last 5 years. Such force includes kicks, neck holds, tasers, and takedowns.
In America, 3 Black men or more is deemed a threat. This is a problem.
Almost 80% of the Minneapolis police force is white, and that's far from unusual in the United States. On top of this, US police forces have become increasingly militarized. Heavy-handed police tactics were used to suppress recent protests and enforce curfews. The 1033 program funnels excess military equipment into police forces at a fraction of the cost. Police forces around the country hold about $1.8 billion worth of military gear. But this brutality and militarization doesn't come out of nowhere. Dr. Keisha Blaine is a historian specializing in African American history.
The early roots of American policing begin within the context of slavery. Before the Civil War, African Americans, particularly those living in the US South, were enslaved. One of the things that developed throughout various parts of the South was the creation of slave patrols.
Slave patrols were made of white volunteers. They would stop, question, and punish enslaved people caught without a permit to travel. They used vigilante tactics and terror to deter slave revolts. South Carolina set up the first slave patrol in 1704.
Well, the white volunteers who joined the slave patrols felt empowered to control the lives of Black people. And this is where we begin to talk about how whiteness functions within the historical lens.
Then came the Reconstruction era after the American Civil War. It's during this time the US starts seeing organized and uniformed police officers. By the end of the 19th century, all major US cities had police forces in place.
They are made up of predominantly white men, and they are functioning in a very similar way as the earlier slave patrols, in that they are continually targeting Black peoples.
The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the US in 1865, yet Black codes were introduced immediately after. These laws controlled the lives of Black people, restricted Black people's movement, restricted Black property ownership, and punished African American men out of work under vagrancy laws.
Police forces were very much part of the story. Their job was to uphold these codes.
Jim Crow laws legalized racial segregation. Southern white supremacists systematically used lynching to terrorize African Americans. There were over 4,000 racial terror lynchings in at least 12 Southern states from 1877 to 1950. White officials and police watched and rarely did anything.
By the time we get to the early 20th century, within the context of the Jim Crow South, what we see are police forces actually making it possible for white vigilantes to murder Black people, to lynch Black people, rather than arrest people for acts of violence.
The painful history of police brutality continued during the Civil Rights Movement.
Just to be respectful, everybody, we're gonna have to keep moving here, Maritza. Let's see if this takes us. Go ahead and go over your discussion questions, please.
Okay. Number 1, do you believe it is justified for police officers to kill a person? Why or why not? Number 2, why do you think police brutality is still a huge issue today? And number 3, have you heard of police brutality before? Where or when did you learn about this?
Okay, so everybody take a moment to answer one of these questions, please, in the chat function. I need to get rid of this. Chris Gill, are you ready to present?
No, I'm not. I haven't
Yeah.
done it.
You're not?
No.
Okay. Um Zoe, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, and you shared it with my email, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so we're still looking at these discussion questions. I only have 6 responses. I have 21 people in the class, so I need 20 responses. Maritza, you'd be the only one that is excused, obviously. Virtual round of applause. Thank you. Another extremely insightful video that explains a lot of the issues that the United States is facing and that African Americans face every day. All right, I'm gonna give about 30 more seconds here to respond, and gonna stop the share. Hopefully, you saw the questions. A lot of good responses to this. Thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next project. Make sure we can get as many in as we can. Whoops. I got to share the correct screen here first. All right, Miss Hodge, you ready to roll?
Yes.
Okay. You are up.
Why tobacco products are bad? How, when, and where did this start? Tobacco was discovered by the native people of the Mesoamerica and South America. It was later moved on to Europe and the rest of the world. It was around 5000 BC when it was found. It's been an issue for a little over around 8,000 years now. Tobacco ranges all over the world. How and where is it affecting people? The top country that uses tobacco products the most is China with 300.8 million users, followed by India with 274.9 million users. Tobacco causes a lot of body issues. Tobacco not only causes cancer in general, but it decreases the lifespan. The cancers can range from lungs, mouth, larynx, which is your voice box, kidney, and cervix. There are many more to name. My predictions. I don't think it would be illegal because tobacco companies make a lot of money from it. I believe with the scientists we have today, they'll make more tobacco products with the products we have today. You see, they can be extremely addicting. The more tobacco companies encourage their products, the more people with addictions.
You introduce the video for us here.
Wait, what?
Tell us what this video is about.
Oh, it's about like a type of tobacco product, which is smoking, and how it affects your health.
Okay, thank you.
Smoking causes sickness and disability, and it kills. There are more than 4,000 chemicals in tobacco smoke, 60 of which are known to cause cancer. Smoking harms nearly every organ in the body, reduces your health, and causes many diseases. Let's see how it affects the smoker. It causes oral and lung cancer and increases the risk of many other cancers. It also causes breathing problems and increases the risk of dangerous infections like pneumonia. Smokers have more of a chance of having a heart attack and are twice as likely to have a stroke. Smoking can even accelerate hair loss in men. Smoking also affects the eyes, and smokers are more likely to develop cataracts as they age. And it raises the risk of developing weakened bones or osteoporosis. Smokers tend to have yellow teeth and develop gum diseases, persistent bad breath, and other oral hygiene problems. Above all, it kills 5 million people every year and makes many more fall ill. Passive exposure to cigarette smoke also damages health. Not only to themselves, smokers also expose others to tobacco smoke in offices, homes, and public places. Those most at risk are their own family and friends. Passive smoking exposes non-smokers to most of the same toxic gases, chemicals, and fine particles that smokers inhale. Passive exposure causes similar health effects as for those who smoke. Children are particularly susceptible and are more likely to suffer from asthma and serious lung infections. Cigarettes contain nicotine, which is highly addictive. Some research has suggested that it can be more addictive than heroin. Even if you want to quit, you may find it difficult because you're addicted to its effects. So it's important never to start smoking, as it is difficult to stop later. And if you already smoke, stop as soon as possible. Now's the time to quit smoking and tell others how to do the same. Life is better without smoke.
All right, you want to walk us through discussion questions here?
Yes, but before that, I just wanted to tell you my summary was on a Google Doc.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Alright.
fine.
Thank you. Discussing questions. Do you think tobacco products should be legal? Do you think tobacco products will be illegal in the future? Why do you think it should be illegal?
Great. Virtual round of applause. Thank you. Okay. And everybody, let's get in on this topic in our society. And I will interject and say one thing, that this used to be a huge topic amongst students your age until marijuana legalization came into play, probably the last like 5 years. All right, take about 90 seconds or so to do this, and we'll see who is next up. Nathaniel Amos, do you have your, you shared your project with me, I believe, correct? Nathaniel?
No.
Do you have it done?
No.
Okay, I thought I had saw it. All right, some interesting responses here. I know everyone is not responding now, so I could use some more people to participate. So when I print this off and run the report, it shows me that you're actually paying attention. It turns out that we are basically through everyone that had a presentation. So everyone else who had a chance did not have one done. So I'm going to go ahead and share the final exam prep sheet. And what I wanted to do was give anybody an opportunity to ask a particular question about any of the topics that you see on the screen right now. Does anybody have a question about any of these? Last night about 9:30, I was putting finishing touches on the exam, so that I can make a Kahoot for it. Everybody has to take it because there's 25 questions that are questions that nobody has seen yet because I haven't quizzed in the last month. I had this planned since before Thanksgiving break, before fall break, actually. So that's why I'm making everyone take it, and it should help your grade anyways. I forgot the Paleolithic one. All right, so Paleolithic versus Neolithic. Paleo means old Stone Age, Neo means new Stone Age, and Paleolithic is when people were nomadic and moved place to place looking for their food, and were hunters and gatherers, and you did not have a patriarchy, so male-dominated society. Gender was equal. And then Neolithic is the transition to when people started farming and settling in areas where farming was good, which would create the river valley civilizations. That's a good question. First four river valley civilizations were the Indus, the Yellow River in China, Mesopotamia in the near Middle East, and the Nile River in Egypt. Anyone else have any other questions?
How many questions will be on the final?
Okay, it says it right on top up here. If you look, but it says 50 questions, 25 new questions, and then 25 old questions that are recycled questions from old quizzes. So ones you've seen before, and they will come from the old ones will come from the topics that are on the screen. Anybody else? Just a reminder, this is at the bottom of the week 18 module. So when you want to take a look at it again, I would encourage you, like I said, look at probably make sure your notes are organized from the last month, from the topics that are up here. And then you want to, these other topics, just probably go through them in your head. If you don't remember any details about them, then maybe look them up on the modules. Take a quick look back at the notes. If you have your own notes, maybe look at those. It depends on what you've been doing virtually this semester. Okay, well, if no one else has anything they want to say, it's definitely open note. Yes, you're going to be taking it at home. I can't police what you have in front of you. All right. I mean, if teachers are making you take closed note quizzes, how are they enforcing that would be my question. And I'm just being real. I don't want to be fake about this whole deal. All right. That was on Zoom and that was recorded. So that's my official stance. Everybody, wonderful participation. This was really cool, this class. A lot of you get into this more than anyone else that I've had in the past. And we had some wonderful topics and great interest and good participation in the discussions. And this is probably my favorite days of the week. So the other 4 days, we labor to get to the day where we get to see cool stuff about how our society is changing and how the youth, that's you, are going to be participants in our ever-changing and evolving world. Everybody, you've got about 11 minutes till your next class starts. Have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, just send me something on Canvas and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay. All right. We're going to stop the share. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
See you, Mr. B.
See you.